Hi, how are you today? I wish you a beautiful day. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And I'd like to spend a few minutes with you, maybe on a kind of a serious topic. This topic of aging, where people start forgetting what they're saying, forgetting what they're going to do. They might be talking about one thing and in the middle of a sentence change the subject and talk about something else, and you say, wait, what about what you were talking about? They don't know what you're saying. It's a sad time for aging. I just recently did a video on aging and spoke about it in a very positive way, how if we stay positive, we could age well. I think I do. I think I'm aging very well. Sometime you watch some of my videos, you say, Larry is an egotistical maniac. Nope, just very confident in what I do. And when it doesn't work, then I will bend my head in shame and say, oh, I guess I wasn't so accurate there. So I'd like to speak about this issue that people have a diagnosis of dementia or a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, or maybe they're just not functioning well neurologically. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know much about the anatomy, some things, but I know the mind well. I know the mind so well. Like my younger son, Craig, great son, great person, knows a car like a scientist. He could hear a car running and tell you what's wrong with it. I could sit and talk to a person and tell you what they're going through. I can. But like my son Craig, he's probably been doing that since he's 12 years old. That's a long time. So he knows cars well. I've been doing hypnosis since I'm 26, and that's a long time ago, and I know hypnosis well. And hypnosis deals with the mind. It communicates to the mind to function better, balance better. Not the brain, the mind. So when we have neurologically dysfunctional types of energies going on, like dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that, we have a society that seems to like to judge. Don't you remember anything I told you? Like a friend of mine, her husband says he's going to deliver newspapers, and she likes to tell him, you don't deliver newspapers anymore. That's when you were young. And he gets a little stressed. Recently, another friend of mine, their mother was walking down the street and saw a family member and didn't remember the family member's name, and everybody got concerned. Do you ever go through life and not remember somebody's name? I was just speaking to Mike, and Mike was saying, yeah, sometimes you can't remember the person's name. You say, hey, how's your wife doing? You don't want to say her name because you don't remember it. So we all seem to forget something, don't we? So let's pretend that the brain is an organ in the body, just like your heart or your liver or your kidneys or your bladder or something. And just like any other organ, it doesn't always function well, especially when we get a little older. When we get a little older, it functions with a little bit of a stress, lower energy. Your body's a little more tired when you get older, isn't it? I keep bumping my tripod, excuse me. And imagine if you had a flu bug or a cold and you say, oh, I'm so sick, I don't feel like moving. You also notice you don't feel like reading. You don't feel like doing anything that would require your brain to be functioning. Because when your body doesn't feel good, your brain doesn't feel good. When your body ages and your heart's not so strong, your brain's not so strong either. But if somebody's got a bad heart, you say, oh, that's too bad. I'm so sorry you had a bad heart. You have a bad heart. That's too bad. Take care of yourself. Don't strain yourself. But when somebody has a bad brain, we don't say, oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry your brain's not functioning so well and you can't remember much. Instead, they like to judge you. They like to say, no, nobody's after you. Don't worry about that. Because maybe a person with a challenge in their brain might have fears. Do you ever have fears? Do you ever have a fear that somebody's going to hurt you? How about you're walking through a neighborhood you've never been through before, and it's dark out, and you keep looking over your shoulder to see if anybody's following you. Why? You think somebody's following you? Do you think somebody's following you because you're in a different neighborhood? Maybe. Because if you're in your own neighborhood, yeah, you feel pretty cool, you're Well, maybe a person with a little dementia or challenged neurologically, whatever we'll call it. Remember again, my background, my training, my history is about the mind. Not the brain, not the body, the mind. But I know this about the mind. If I challenge you, if I give you some kind of an experience that's uncomfortable, your body will tighten up. It does. If you ever do muscle testing, I mentioned before, you hold your arm straight out like this, and you say, think of positive, and you push and it won't go down. Now think negative and the arm drops. Shows and proves the body weakens when you have a negative thought. So now if your family member, neighbor, friend is 70, 80, 90 years old, and they can't remember what they were saying, or they can't remember what they were doing, or they're walking down the street and they see a family member and can't remember their name, we need to refrain from judging them, because then the body gets weak. The brain is part of the body. Remember, the brain is an organ just like your heart. If you have a bad heart, you don't want somebody coming up and saying, boo, and scaring you and the heart starts beating. You don't want that. If you have bad kidneys, you want to kind of cut down your potassium. You don't want to eat too many bananas. But what I'm suggesting to you is visualize, if you will, that the brain is like the heart or any other organ in the body. And as we age, those organs aren't so strong. Neither is the body. You know, I notice at my time in life, I don't seem to run as fast as I used to. Actually, I don't run. But I still walk my dog, Rosie, around the block a dozen times. I still seem to get around somehow, even though I remember one time I said to my neurologist, I says, how come I walk funny? And she says, because you can't feel your feet. Ooh, they must be getting old. What if you couldn't feel your brain? Must be getting old. But nobody makes fun of me and says, oh, Larry, you walk funny because you have neuropathy in your feet. They don't say that to me because they're more compassionate. But why do we judge people who have a dysfunction in their brain? Why do we judge people who can't remember what they were saying or who have fears of the unknown? Why is it that we have learned in our society people with a mental illness or a challenge in a neurological way that we say, can't you get it together? That's not what you were talking about. Get it back together. I remember the first time I met somebody with a low dementia, and it was a friend of mine's mother. And I went to visit him, and we were talking, and she came in the room, and she started jibber-jabbering. And she couldn't stay on one subject for more than a sentence or two, and she was into another subject. This is a long time ago. So my friend said, you're the first person that I ever saw keep up to her conversations. And I just smiled, and I thought, well, it's because I'm not trying to bring her back to the original one. Do you ever start a conversation and forget what you were saying? I do. But it doesn't mean I'm dysfunctional. It just means that I forgot what I was saying. How about this one? Do you ever repeat yourself? A friend or a family member says, you told me that story 1,000 times. Can I tell you one more time, please? And that's the person with a challenge in their brain. So I'm going to ask you to be aware of this. I'm going to be asking you to refrain from judging your loved one or friend who has a little challenge with their neurological functioning, with their brain functioning well. Imagine the brain being like the muscle testing, and it's strong, and then you think of something negative and it drops. When you think of something negative, the body weakens. Try it. And here's what the person with this challenge in their brain needs. Call it dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't know. I'm not a physician. I don't diagnose. Whatever you call it, pretend. What they really need more than anything is reassurance. I have sat over the years and spent many hours with many people who have been told that they have dementia or Alzheimer's or challenge. And I sit there and I talk to them like I'm talking to you right now. And we just carry on this conversation. And if he says, oh, I got to deliver newspapers, I say, okay, what time you got to deliver them? He says 3 o'clock, and then he's back to normal again. But what if I say to him, well, you don't deliver newspapers? Then he gets tight. If I judge you toward anything, What does your body feel like? It tightens. Well, don't you think your brain tightens too? If you're judged enough, do you get upset? Yeah. Now pretend like your brain is your heart. And pretend you're 70, 80, 90 years old and your heart's not so strong right now. And you are startled or scared and suddenly, boom, you might have a heart attack. You might have a stroke, because the heart's weak. And we all fear strokes, don't we? We all fear a heart attack. But I'm going to suggest to you, imagine, if you will, that this organ is your brain. And your brain, your mind is challenged. Your mind, not your brain. Your mind is challenged. It's going to dysfunction every part of your body, including your brain. So I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you the next time you meet somebody who can't remember what they were saying, repeats themselves 100 times, can't function well neurologically, refrain from judging them. They all need what you need. Do you know what that is? Reassurance. Do you ever need reassurance? Do you ever need Larry Garrett to get on these videos and say, you're going to be okay? Everything's going to be fine. And my favorite phrase, you've heard it in some of my videos, everything works out. Even a person with a challenge neurologically, everything works out. But when you challenge them, it takes a little longer. So I'm going to suggest again, watch my videos, share them with people, do what you can to make them feel reassured. I'll reassure you if you reassure your friend or loved one or family member that they're okay when they're feeling challenged. I wish you a beautiful day. I hope that everything in your life works out for you as it should. Well, that's the wording. Everything works out. We have no choice. Some people die, some people live, some people get sick, some people get well, some people get wealthy, some people are broke. But everything works out. Have a beautiful day. I love you.